Level 1. Tactical nukes 0.1 to 1 kiloton TNT equivalent. We start small, though small is relative here. Tactical nuclear weapons are designed for use on the battlefield against armies, tanks, or bases. They usually range from 100 tons to 1 kiloton of TNT equivalent. For comparison, a kiloton is the explosive power of 1,000 tons of TNT. Even at this low level, a single detonation could flatten several city blocks and kill thousands of soldiers. Tactical nukes are portable, sometimes small enough to fit inside artillery shells or short-range missiles. They're not meant to destroy entire cities, but their devastating power makes them a nightmare scenario in modern warfare. Level 2. Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs, 15 to 25 kilotons. Next, we move to the bombs that changed history forever. In August 1945, the US dropped Little Boy on Hiroshima and Fat Man on Nagasaki. These bombs had yields of 15 kilotons and 21 kilotons. At Hiroshima, the blast instantly killed around 70,000 people, with total deaths rising above 140,000 due to radiation and injuries. Buildings within 2 miles of ground zero were destroyed. In Nagasaki, similar devastation occurred. These bombs weren't just weapons, they marked the first and only time nuclear weapons were used in war. They showed the world just how deadly nuclear firepower could be, even at lower levels compared to what came later. Level 3. Early Cold War nukes 100 to 500 kilotons. After World War II, the US and the Soviet Union entered an arms race, quickly scaling up their weapons. By the 1950s, both nations had bombs in the hundreds of kilotons. To put it into perspective, a 500 kiloton weapon is more than 30 times more powerful than Hiroshima. At this level, entire metropolitan areas could be erased in seconds. Cities like New York, London, or Moscow could be devastated by a single strike. These larger weapons shifted nuclear strategy. Instead of being battlefield tools, they became instruments of mass destruction designed to threaten entire nations. Level 4. The Megaton Era, 1 to 10 megatons. By the 1960s, nuclear weapons entered the megaton era. A megaton equals the power of 1 million tons of TNT. The US tested the first hydrogen bomb, Mike, in 1952 with a yield of 10.4 megatons, nearly 700 times stronger than Hiroshima. At this level, the effects are unimaginable. Blast waves can travel for dozens of miles. Third-degree burns could affect people up to 30 miles away. Entire regions, not just cities, could be wiped off the map. These weren't weapons of war anymore. They were weapons of apocalypse. If deployed, they wouldn't just win battles, they'd end civilizations. Level 5. The gigantic Tsar Bomba, 50 megatons. Finally, we reach the most powerful nuclear bomb ever detonated. The Soviet Union's Tsar Bomba. On October 30, 1961, the USSR tested this monster over the Arctic island of Novaya Zemlya. With a yield of 50 megatons, over 3,000 times Hiroshima, the blast was so powerful that it shattered windows 560 miles away and created a mushroom cloud that rose 40 miles into the sky. Originally, it was designed for 100 megatons, but scientists scaled it down because the fallout would have been catastrophic, possibly spreading radioactive dust across half the planet. Even at half strength, it remains the most powerful man-made explosion in history. Tsar Bomba was so huge it was never intended for practical use. It was a show of force, a terrifying demonstration of Soviet power at the height of the Cold War. Level 6. Theoretical doomsday bombs, 100 plus megatons. Although never built, scientists have speculated about even larger bombs. In theory, a 100 to 1,000 megaton bomb is possible using advanced hydrogen bomb designs. But here's the chilling part. Weapons this big wouldn't just destroy cities, they could trigger global consequences. A 500 megaton bomb could create firestorms so large that smoke would block out the sun, leading to a nuclear winter that could starve humanity. Luckily, no country has ever built or tested such a device, since smaller, more precise missiles are already devastating enough. Still, the idea of a doomsday bomb reminds us just how far nuclear science could go if left unchecked. Level 7. The Tsar Bomba, 50 megatons. The Soviet Union's Tsar Bomba, which is the biggest bomb that has ever been exploded in human history, is located at level 7. In 1961, this monster was put through its paces, and it had a blast yield of 50 megatons of TNT, over 3,000 times more powerful than the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. The windows were shattered by the explosion's force more than 500 miles away when it was dropped over Novaya Zemlya, and the resulting mushroom cloud reached a height 7 times greater than that of Mount Everest. The shockwave made its way around the entire planet 3 times. What is even more astounding is that the original design was intended to be 100 megatons in size, but engineers reduced its size out of concern that it would wreak havoc on cities in the Soviet Union. This was not only a weapon, it was a declaration of dominance during the period of the Cold War. The pinnacle of humankind's capacity for destruction was reached with the Tsar Bomba. Level 8. Hypothetical 100 megaton bombs. Now imagine if Tsar Bomba had been detonated at full strength minus 100 megatons. Engineers at the time knew this was possible, but they also knew it would be basically uncontrollable. A 100 megaton blast would vaporize everything in a 35-mile radius instantly, while third-degree burns could reach nearly 200 miles out. The fallout cloud could spread across continents, poisoning food and water supplies for years. While no country has ever dared to test something like this, the concept was real, and it shows the terrifying potential of nuclear escalation. At this scale, nuclear war wouldn't just wipe out cities, it could start threatening entire nations. Level 9. Doomsday bombs. Gigaton-class weapons. We are brought into the domain of doomsday technologies that are purely speculative by Level 9. Consider a nuclear weapon that is not in the megaton range, but rather in the gigaton range, that is, 1,000 megatons of TNT. A cobalt bomb is a type of weapon that scientists have imagined. It is designed to maximize radioactive fallout and render vast areas uninhabitable for a period of decades, or even millennia. A single strike of an explosion with a yield of 1 gigaton could obliterate entire nations. The shockwaves would result in worldwide firestorms, earthquakes, and a nuclear winter that would lead to billions of deaths due to starvation. These are only theoretical, thankfully, but the frightening aspect is that the science is feasible. Humanity knows, we simply have not yet reached that point. Level 10. Planet killer weapons. Last but not least is Level 10, which represents the final stage of nuclear power's evolution. This issue is not limited to the destruction of cities or nations. It can bring about the whole demise of human civilization. Theoretically, if enough nuclear weapons were detonated at once, say, the world's entire stockpile of over 12,000 warheads, the cumulative effect could start a full-scale nuclear winter. Temperatures might fall, crop yields could be devastated, and the breakdown of the global biosphere could make Earth uninhabitable. There are also doomsday ideas that discuss the possibility of superweapons based on antimatter or fusion that have the power to damage the Earth itself. Although these scenarios are still considered science fiction at the moment, they serve to remind us of one fact. Nuclear weapons are not only military implements, they represent a danger to the very existence of humanity.